Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Growth Frequency, where we have conversations to expand your consciousness and set yourself free. My name is Elsa. Let's dive in. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Growth Frequency. Today, we are joined by a very special guest, Tayla Stone. Tayla is the founder of Soul Bloom, where she blends together psychology, suicide and crisis counseling, trauma-informed emotional support, energy healing, and spiritual care. One of the most fascinating parts of Tayla's work is her lifelong gift of being able to communicate with angels and loved ones who have passed. Tayla infuses this communication with angels into her soul-centered work, which allows her to help people create space for messages from the divine, find meaning in their life, and find and hold a connection to a higher power. Tayla, it is an honor to share this transmission with you, girl. I'm so happy you are here.
Thanks for having me. And thank you for that beautiful introduction. I was like, oh my gosh, she knows all of this. That's so sweet. I'm happy to be here and just share this space with you.
Girl, it is like truly you are one of a kind. So to have your energy, to have your presence here, it is a gift. So
Thanks.
I guess let's dive in. Of course. Take me back to the beginning. What first awakened you to this work? And I know I was reading your grandmother had a lot to do this, had a role in it. So yeah, when did you first realize you had this connection with angels? And when did you decide to step into this soul calling in your life?
Yeah. I think my path wasn't ever, I don't think it was ever decided. And I guess when I look back on my journey as a whole, I think of the saying, I don't know if you've heard of it. It's like, if you want to make God laugh, tell him your plans. And that's basically the gist of my journey, because there were so many times along the path where, growing up and everything, you get asked what you want to do for your career and everything like that. And I can never put my finger on it. And so I think I explored so many different things. And when I found something that really resonated with me, that's when it's like, oh, this is it. But then something else would come up and I'm like, oh, wait, that wasn't it. This is it. And it never was. And so anyways, stepping into my gifts and talents, I don't think that there was ever a time where like I said, made the decision to do it. I think it was, this is who I am. So like, how do I incorporate that into everything that I've learned and gone through? And because I remember sitting with my angels and stuff and my loved ones on the other side after I'd stepped into these gifts, and I, had just finished my master's in business degree, and I was like in this corporate role in healthcare and like traditional healthcare. And I was like, for one of the major hospitals here in Springfield, Illinois. And I remember sitting there thinking like, man, if this is it, like, what was the point? Like, what was the point of everything? And what's the point of me having these gifts if I'm doing this? And they really showed me that what I'm meant to do and what I'm doing now is just a culmination of really just an unfolding of everything that I have learned and done along my path. And I think it's just a testament to everybody else that like, we just don't know where our path is going, then that's okay. Just to trust that process and continue exploring and following those opportunities. But aside from all of that, my gifts, they began in a way I didn't expect. I was working as a suicide and crisis counselor, and I was trying to come up with, like, I was feeling called to meditate, and I'd never meditated in my life, even as a massage therapist prior to that. It just wasn't something I ever did. And I was like, why am I wanting to do this so bad? But like working as a suicide and crisis counselor, it made sense. I'm like, this will be a good release for me, after a long day of all that heaviness and stuff. And so the first time I sat down and meditated, I did one of those guided visual ones where I didn't have to do it myself. They like led me through it. And in my mind, as I was visualizing this meditation, I was seeing it before the person spoke it. And it was just this moment where, like, I felt without my gifts and everything stepping forward, like, I just felt like, oh my gosh, I have either lived this before or I've, like, always been meant for this specific moment. Because it just felt so natural. Like I said, the way I was, like, wanting to visualize it, and then, like, I realized I was, like, a whole minute ahead of this person speaking it, this random person on YouTube, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, like, this is crazy," and so I just kept with it, and, it was a random meditation one night. I was clearing my energy before bed, and I used to not meditate at night because it used to kind of freak me out a little bit, to be able to feel the energy around me at nighttime. And so, and especially right before bed. But I had been on the phone with a friend and I got caught up in it, and I just got back from the gym. So I was like, I'm going to meditate before I go to the shower and do all that. And during that meditation, I went to the normal place in my mind where, like, I would visually, like, clear my chakras, and I'm not listening to anybody else at all. It's just silence, right? And in this space, in my mind, I go to this part, in the meditation where I'm in this clearing and I see the chair that I normally sit in to, like, clear my chakras and everything. But as I step up to the clearing, there's this older lady next to me with long gray hair. And, like, when you get older, sometimes your eyes kind of sink in a little bit. And so she had this long face and she was just reaching for me. And I was scared. I was like, I'm sure she was a lovely woman in her life, but, like, I was terrified. I was like, "No," like, but in the moment, I didn't break the meditation. It was really just me. I told her, I said, "I'm sorry, I'm not here for that. I'm just here to clear my chakras," you know? And so I walked into the clearing, turned around, sat in this chair, and this woman is still standing at the edge of the clearing, staring at me in my mind, like, in this meditation. And I was like, "Okay." So I did what I had to do, cleared my chakras, but her face still stayed with me. And so I was texting my girlfriend about this afterwards. I was getting into the shower, and, she was like, her grandma had just passed away. But I'd never seen her grandma. She's from Alton, Illinois, or Alton. Yeah, Alton. And so I had never seen her grandma. And I was like on a hunch, on, like, an intuitive feeling that was, like, pushing me to, like, ask her. I was like, I followed it and I said, but I was so nervous when I texted her. It was like I almost didn't want to know that this was, like, that person, but, like, it was also, like, it felt like that moment of change for me, and it definitely was because, I was like, "Can you send me pictures of your grandma?" She sent me, like, 6, and I was like, "Okay, this is the woman that I saw in my meditation," and I was like, "But she was exactly from this photo, and it was her in a white dress, but she had red pixie-styled hair, so it was totally different hair, but the same dress." And I was like, "This is that woman," and face. And, she goes, "Oh my gosh, Tayla, you wouldn't know this." She goes, "But, that's the photo we used for her obituary." The one in the white dress. And she goes, "Also," but I told her, I was like, "Yeah," but I said, like, she didn't have the red hair. It was gray and it was long and, like, how does this align? And she was like, "Well, you wouldn't know this either, but she hated her gray hair, so she would wear a wig. That red hair was a wig, and so her gray hair was up underneath it all the time." And that was the moment that I was like, "Holy crap." This happened, like, somebody on the other side that had just passed is coming through, and it all began with meditation and really allowing myself to open up. So I always give it to meditation. I know it's a gift of mine and, this space, anybody can reach. I fully believe that. It's just a practice in giving them the space to be able to be heard. So, yeah, so that's where it began.
Well, thank you for sharing it. That is first off just so mind bending to think how all the dots have connected. If you could go back and give younger Tayla advice, what would you tell her with everything you know now?
I've been asked this question before, and I think that is such a hard thing for me because I remember I think I shared with you prior, just in my childhood, I just don't have a lot of memories. But there's one that sticks
Mhm.
out where I remember being a little girl and like sitting on the floor in my room. It was like this wild pink carpet. And I remember crying in this moment. And I just was telling myself, I just want to be a good person. Like, I just want to be a good person. And I remember that memory so vividly. And so every time I go back to like my little self or my younger self, um, I think it's just letting her know and giving her the confidence that she is and she will be, and that, like, the amount of, help that like, your heart has always wanted to, give to other people is possible in so many ways. So, I think just letting her know, like, obviously, like, to keep going, and even though it seems, like, uncertain at the time and you don't know why it's happening, just to trust it and trust the growth through it because, yeah, there's just so many moments where I wish I would have had that message specifically.
Wow. Trust. And what does trust show up for you in your life nowadays? What does trust feel like? What does trust look like?
Mm. Trust is so easy for me to give to people. And it's so funny because I was just having dinner with a couple of girlfriends last night, and they were like, "Taylor, you're just too kind," is what they said. And in my heart, I was like, "Man, but like I feel like that's what the world needs right now, you know?" And, but trust for me is stepping into, you know, any experience or, conversation or connection without expectation, right? Without judgment and just really, letting that person or that experience shine in the way and flow in the way it's meant to without, trying to control it, you know? And I think that is ultimate for sure.
Wow.
Yeah.
And do you feel like this connection you have with your angels, with God, with the divine, with source, do you feel like maybe has this, do you think, been inside you your whole life?
Oh, absolutely. Well, mainly because I think that is, I truly believe just from my work with the angels and stuff, like, this is it's who we are, you know? It's just when we come here, it's something that, it's almost like we have, like, this veil of, like, amnesia or something over us that we just don't know, and it's purposeful like that because we have to, we came here really as explorers, as those souls to be able to, learn the things we were meant to learn for the collective consciousness as a whole, and, but no matter what, it always lives within you because it's a part of you, like, that is your makeup, that's who you are, and so even if I hadn't stepped into these gifts, any time that I think any soul experiences that soul deep connection, and I don't have any other better way to put it, like, in my work, I just wanna clarify this for anybody that's listening, I am, not tied to any specific religious doctrine, my work is spiritual, so there is no discrimination on anything like that. The angels have made it very clear that the written word, like Bible, like all that stuff is, very human created things, right? From the experiences, and, I get that. But all that to say that, like, you can have those experiences, like those ones where you do go to a church or a space with like a community of people, that you connect with on that soul deep level. Like that is that feeling every time I get to connect to the angels and loved ones on the other side. And it's like I said, it's who we are. It's where we come from. So absolutely, yeah.
Thank you, Taylor. just adding on to that, so I wanna hit 2 points here. Number 1, you mentioned the
Mhm.
veil. I was hoping to talk more about the veil and helping people, whoever is listening to this, kind of understand why we don't remember, and then how that ties to our soul's purpose in this lifetime.
Yeah, yeah. No, the veil, I think in terms of discussing that, I like to look at it, as kind of mm, like this sheer sheet, right? Like a sheer curtain that, is very easy, like, once you start to, like, create space for it, and recognize it, that we can, like, penetrate it, right? And remove it enough that we can hear, our intuition more clearly, our angels, our loved ones, on the other side. But the way that they've explained it to me or expressed it to me is that when we come here, if I feel like it's probably oftentimes once our souls especially, I think, get into all of the human-based variables and things around us and connect with that, it kind of solidifies the veil in a way, and takes us away from it. And it's almost like because this world, this life that we live in is so loud compared to the whispers and um I wanna like, almost like the frequency or like of the other side. And, it's the other side, it definitely comes through as more of like a whisper amongst the loudness and everything around us. And so I think as we get older, I wanna say they make me feel like around even like 3 or 4, I think is kind of where that starts happening, where life around us is just so loud that we, um kind of lose sight of that softness or that veil or that connection. Um, but
Mm.
aside from the veil, your second question, you said, what was the second
Yeah.
question? Sorry, answer. Well,
So no, that was such a beautiful answer to the veil, and it's almost is the purpose of the veil almost to allow us to live our life and just actually truly experience the human experience rather than coming here with all the answers. I like to think of Earth as a school, and it's like when you come here, it's almost like it's a test, you know? It's a test to see who your soul is and what you can accomplish in this life, but at the same time, it wouldn't be a test if you had all the answers. Would you say the veil kind of allows us to access that free will component that we've talked about before, this idea of free will in life and
yeah, yeah.
accessing our
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely. I think, because the angels, they say this all the time. They're like, if you knew where you came from, you wouldn't want to be here. They're like the amount of I think peace and love and so much, like I said, joy and connection on the other side. Like this world that we come to is very heavy in comparison. And so I think there's so many layers to it, but the veil itself does allow us, like I said, or that we talked about before, connect and live these very human based experiences the way we're meant to in order to learn more about the depths of love and joy and happiness and understand that because that is all that is on the other side. And so it's a lesson that we learn well here where it's like if life is beautiful all the time, you're not going to be able to appreciate it as well as you would if went through the hard time and then came back to and you're like, wow, like I took this for granted or, what have you. We just learn so much more about who we are and where we come from, and all of that by having that veil, in those moments. And so, yeah, absolutely. I agree with that 100%. But
Caleb.
I think it's hard for me to subscribe to this perspective that like us coming here is a test, because I don't feel that way. like when I talk to the angels and loved ones, it feels more, and I know there's like, I think so many people out there in the spiritual community that have different perspectives on this. So I'm not saying one is right or wrong, but just my experience with them on the other side. It's not so much of a test as it is more for us to explore and grow the collective consciousness on the other side, as well as because it's not like we've done anything wrong as souls. It's not like this is like a space for us, or like the experiences we go through are meant to punish us or test us in a way. They're just the heavier experiences just help shed light on and create, you know, that transformation or that growth that we're looking for, to better understand the things that we were meant to come here to learn to take back to the collective consciousness, not necessarily to teach our souls to be better, you know, but just to help grow as a whole. And there's more to that as well, but I'll leave that there. So yeah.
Tayla, thank you for sharing that, girl. And speak your truth on here. We like one of those things. I just appreciate your perspective and especially your connection with the angels, but how you speak this into existence. You make it so clear that we are here for more than what we can understand in this human existence. There's so much
Oh, yeah.
more than we'll understand this lifetime. And I guess understanding that, how can our angels help us find and discover our purpose in life? If someone was listening to this and maybe they feel lost or they don't know what to do in their career, any number of variables, what advice would you give to them from the angels from your own experience to help them discover their purpose or what that could look like?
Mm. That's hard because like we talked about before as well, like purpose in and of itself is so layered. You could have 1,000 different purposes in this life, okay? And that goes back to the work with Archangel Raziel, where he brings in those puzzle pieces to say, you know, this puzzle piece connects you to this moment, but that also connects you to all these other souls, and your purpose might be 100 times fold, you know, because you like making that decision and being in that space, and your very existence shifts so much for so many others around you without you even realizing it. So I want to say that because I think a lot of people in a moment where they feel lost and they're trying to figure out their way forward or whatever, there's purpose even in that moment. And I'm like, you know, if we're but the angels, what they talk about all the time, they're like, it's not, and it never was ever destination, right? It is always, always about the journey. And that is where you find your purpose along the way. It's not this big grand nugget at the end of at your end of your life that you're like, oh, this is the purpose I've been working towards, and this is it. No, it's along the journey, and so, like, if you're asking, how people can find their purpose, I think it is found by, you know, slowing down and softening enough that you can quiet the loudness around you and really perceive from a broader perspective in every moment, like, they, I'm trying to find the right words, the broader perspective in every moment in order to be able to, just feel and receive what you're meant to in the moment. And I think that's where you'll find the purpose every time. Because a lot of times I think it's what I found in this work particularly are the heavier emotions like anger or stress or fear or doubt, like all of those are so loud that you have to make it almost like an intention and it's a practice at first, you know, doing that. But in your life being able to, like I said, in those heightened moments, take a deep breath, kind of pull yourself back out of that a little bit, enough that you can look at it from, like I said, a broader scope rather than through like the little keyhole that you're trying to perceive it, and recognize that the purpose you're searching for is all around you. And it's not just this one defined construct or thing that you're looking for. So, um, Yeah, yeah. Hopefully that helps. I feel like they're always so vague with that, but, like, that's the best guidance that I can give in terms of somebody trying to find their purpose. Don't push so hard. Just allow yourself to feel and experience the experience, then know that you just by existing and moving through your journey, like, that purpose is all around you, and it's not crossing that finish line every time. It's the journey itself. So, yeah.
Mm. Thank you, Ted. That was so beautiful, girl. And that makes so much sense. I guess
Yeah.
even stepping a little bit deeper, do we all have our own guardian angels?
Yes. Yes, we definitely do. I it's fun once you, I think, like, really start getting into that, if that's, what you're interested in and stuff too. But yes, we can have one guardian angel, we can have many. Some of us have guardian angels that live with us throughout our whole life, are there with us, throughout our whole life. But then some that have one that's there for just a small part of it, and then two new ones step in, for the next chapter. So, but yes, we definitely do. Yeah.
Wow. And do the angels present in our life correlate to maybe what we're learning at that time or what we're experiencing?
Yes, absolutely. So on the other side, we can really look at it like, no matter what, like every individual, every soul has their own team of angels, right? That are with them throughout their whole life. But looking at like the archangels themselves, they have particular purpose and roles in our lives. uh, at different stations based off of what we're going through. Like we shared, Archangel Raphael, working with individuals who are, uh, he works very heavily, with individuals that are like go go go, all the time, trying to put the ones that are putting all the puzzle pieces together, like in so many different areas all the time. Like you'll find him. I'll find like him working with others as well, quite regularly, and um, Archangel Michael, working more so with individuals who are on the journey of really finding their inner child, and also learning how
Mm.
to mitigate those egoic thoughts, like the ruminating thoughts and stuff like that. Like he's there a lot as well, working hand in hand with like Archangel Raphael, and there's just so many. But yes, yeah, yes,
Ah. Oh, and okay, Taylor, if you don't mind, could we go through just a little cliff notes of the archangels and maybe if someone is listening to this, maybe give them a little guidance on how they can connect with their angels and maybe they're going through something in their life and maybe who to call on, what to say, how to invite their angels in to help them for guidance. And even if they've never opened this bridge of connection before, how could they start and where do they start with the angels?
yeah. Oh my gosh. So, well, I feel like I said, I think I just rattled off three of them. But there's so many on the other side that as you work with them, more and more will come up into your space and in your life. The best way that I can say to connect with them, and what has worked for me, is creating quiet space enough to hear them. It's really hard, and I know, and that's a practice in and of itself, like I said, because our lives are so demanding for us to keep moving, for us to be amongst, all the loud things going on, and do all the time. And the angels, in order to be able to hear them at first, now, like, the more you practice, the more you get a sense of their energy and how they communicate within your own headspace as well. Um, or through your body, or your energy around you. um you'll be able to hear them louder as you're, like, going through life, and doing the things out in public. You'll hear them, as they come in, and give you that guidance. But at first, I would definitely sit in a space where it's just quiet. You don't have anything pulling your attention, demanding, you go do the next thing. Just allow yourself the space to be. And breath work too is a really big one, and just it's simple to open that door and soften enough to reach that level of oneness or that connection to all that is, and really be able to feel them and hear them clearer there too. But a part of that as well, I will say this, is trust. And I know we brought that up at the beginning, but it's trusting that what you're hearing and what you're receiving or what's coming through to you is true, is real. Because I think that that in and of itself as well is something we constantly have to battle against, which is the construct that has been placed in this human existence that our thoughts are just our thoughts. They're willy-nilly, right? But the way I hear the angels, the way I hear oftentimes loved ones that come through, are subtle whispers that in tones that are my voice. It's not like another voice, another entity or whatever coming through my mind. It's oftentimes through my own voice, what somebody would probably say is thought. So trusting that like what you hear next, like if you were to say, you know, you give yourself the space in a room to just sit or lay back, get comfortable, release all the weight and stress off your body, and just take a couple deep breaths, follow your breath, and just sometimes even visualizing a space to go in your head during that space will help, like whether it be a home or, you know, a space in nature, whatever that is for you. And that really allows you the space to then say within your mind, okay, God, universe, source, all that is like, please be with me in this moment. I, you know, ask any of my angels to come forward that all, you know, walk in your light, to let me know any positive, loving messages that I'm meant to receive for me today. Or you could even start by saying, you know, I would love to connect with my guardian angel, you know, and meet them, and trusting in that moment, whatever you receive back is meant for you and it is true. And I think that is one of the biggest hurdles to get through. But the angels, they work with you constantly to try and build that trust, not just with them, but yourself as well. So it's always about building a relationship and trust. And as you do, like I said, you'll hear them more clearly. But I would definitely start there.
Wow, Tayla, so much gold packed into there. I hope whoever is listening to this, please go rewind that, listen to it again, listen to it 2 more times. Wow, gold packed in there. And it sounds like almost our connection with our angels, it's always there and it's always available to us. Kind of just like if electrical cords are on the wall, they're always there, but you have to turn on the switch. You have to bring your awareness to it, bring your intention. We're going to talk, I want to talk about this too with you, intention to connect with them. It sounds like if we could break that down, what you just said, into 3 or 4 steps, how to connect to your angels, it sounds like step 1, get still, get quiet. Make step 2, ask, build that connection, ask for that guidance, ask for your guardian angels. Step 3, listen. And then step 4, trust. And
Yeah.
trust. How did you your trust when you were establishing this relationship with your angels?
Yeah, no. So, I had the blessing of having a spiritual teacher of sorts help me be able to find my footing with this, because going from having loved ones on the other side coming to me in my meditations to where I am today, I like when I started this space, or like my gifts kind of started coming in with that, I felt like I was floundering, you know, like I felt like I didn't have my feet on the ground. I lived my life prior to that with a very Buddhist like lifestyle mentality. I believed in reincarnation and stuff, but you know, I was raised, when I was little, we went to a Christian church all the time. And so, I really began starting to, I started all of that, really stepped into or followed the callings that felt very connecting to me and peaceful. I didn't believe in like organized religion at that time when all this was happening. And so it might have sound strange, but like I chose to go to a church service one day and just sit in the pew, and before the service even began, it just like I was just crying. I just like had tears in my eyes, and I was just crying uncontrollably because the feeling, and I felt like the healing that I needed in that space, because a lot happened in my childhood around that. It just felt so good to be reconnected and be able to experience that. And so I started there, and then, like I said, found my way through like podcasts to this spiritual teacher. And he really was able to help me, like I said, understand this space. And I think that that is where a lot of my work too, and yours even, and other, people that have stepped into this space that have learned all of these things, it's that's like part of our purposes, right? Like even our souls, like as we come here to learn these things to then take and add to the collective consciousness through our experiences. And that's what we're doing here, even on a physical realm, like helping one another to rebuild that reconnection and understand that you don't, one, have to go through these heavy experiences alone, but also there's so much more insight around you that can help you understand, to help it, like those heavier energies and emotions travel through you and flow more freely. So you don't have to hold on to them, as much as you do. So, yeah, no, that's kind of, I guess, really how I stepped into that space of that. So, yeah.
Tayla, that is so beautiful, girl. And everyone who's listening to this, we are going to link everything, how you can connect, begin your journey with Tayla at the end. It's already begun here, but just I want you to know, if anyone is here looking for a spiritual mentor, guidance, anything in this life where you feel called to connect with Tayla, you're here for a listening. If you're still listening to this episode, you are here for a reason. And I truly believe everyone who's meant to connect with this, you're also meant to connect with Tayla too. So please look at the show notes after this episode or right now. Connect with Tayla, whether you follow her, support her. She is like true gift to this world. And again, I am so grateful to have you, girl. I know you're opening so many minds and so many hearts, and I genuinely pray that everyone who listens to this episode, their hearts and minds are open to these messages, because it truly has the power to change their life. And kind of getting into that connection, thank you for sharing all that too, because I know this is very vulnerable, and it's your story, girl, and it's so beautiful. And I guess
No problem. Did I miss anything that you had asked prior? I'm like, I want to make sure I covered that question. Sometimes I feel like they'll take me on like these long journeys of like explaining, and then I missed a point. So I just want to make sure I covered everything for you.
Oh my gosh, actually, I'm so happy you said that, because I kind of want to hit the nail a couple times on 2 or 3 things that you have mentioned. Number 1, building a relationship with your angels. And then number 2, the thoughts that come into your mind are often and sometimes your angels pushing and guiding you towards something, to do something. So I guess, could we talk a little bit more? Let's just dive into, our thoughts aren't always our own. They're our angels
Right.
sometimes. And how do we discern that? Or how do we, and I have a feeling it has to do with trust. How do we maybe begin to listen to those thoughts, or recognize maybe our thoughts are more than what we're thinking? Maybe it's divine guidance, that higher power.
I think when we ask how to discern them, the best way and best guidance that I can give with that is to spend time with them. And time, I understand, is such a valuable currency in this life, because we just don't have a lot of it, right? In this world, we talk about, time is very linear, whereas on the other side, it's circular. So like we can revisit things, on the other side, and it's always there. And here we just don't have like physical access to that. I will say you can, in meditation, always go back to a memory in your mind, and revisit energy there. And that's a whole other story, I think, for another time. But you're able to revisit memories with loved ones, even ones that have passed, within your mind. And when you revisit those, oftentimes those loved ones that you see in those memories are there with you. Their energy and they're truly there with you in that time. So so it's possible on, like I said, the soul level, on a spiritual level, but not so much obviously in the physical realm. So anyways, trying to discern whether or not who is who, whether it's you or your angels. It's spending time with them, but also yourself, knowing yourself as well. And also recognizing, and this is the tricky part, that we are all one. Okay. And so when you talk about discerning like who is who, that's why I think like whenever a thought comes in, I will say, angels or whatever, unless it's a specific loved one's face or energy that comes in and I'm like, okay, like this is actually them. That's why I think you'll find a lot of spiritual teachers using the term spirit instead, because they'll use spirit for angels and loved ones and all that is. For the collective that's like coming in at that time, because oftentimes it is your voice that comes through in those moments. But it's the thing that helps me sometimes is like, so in my sessions, I brought it with me today because Angel said I needed it. I will use this notebook, okay? And I will write down in this notebook like messages for people, okay? And it's like pages of messages for people that just I should not know, right? And I think the more time that you spend in that space, asking questions and receiving answers to things that you should not know, if you then turned and, searched for that answer in a physical way and received the same thing back, that would help build that trust, for you, that, hey, like this is coming from my angels or spirit or all that is, but the angels say that that's oftentimes why, or at least that's what they're talking about now, making sense of why I would hear it as my voice, because they say this all the time. They say, I am me and you are you, but we are we and together we are one. And it's recognizing that obviously we're separate souls, but on the other side, we are a collective. And I think they talk about that oftentimes too in religion, the idea and the human, I think, dictation around it is that we are, a part of God. We're God's children. We're an extension of that, and the angels are like, that's so true, because like our energy, our souls come from all that is universe, God, source. And so like we literally have that, that energy within us. And so very much, true in that regard, but there's something to recognize in that. And that's important, especially as you try to figure out or try to discern it. Sometimes we don't need a hard line there to say, oh, this is me and this is my angels. It's just knowing that this information comes from all that is, which is also a part of me, which is also your angels and spirit and, your loved ones, all that. So yeah. It depends
Tayla,
on how you want to look at it, how you want to take it. But they'll work with you on that. Like I said, it just trusting that the information that they're giving you is meant for you, but that it's true. And that's what I'm saying. It takes time, like those messages I had in my notebook, pages of information for families or individuals that I should not know, but I do. And so I think just giving yourself that trust in that space, that confidence. But it's like a relationship. You have to build it. It doesn't just pop up, I mean, for some people it does. Some people, they have all that trust to give, so I don't know. Yeah.
girl, and that's it's like that bamboo. It's the root system. You have to establish that root system before anything
Right.
can sprout. And it sounds like building that relationship and even stepping into this a little bit deeper. So it sounds like you hear your angels, they'll come across sometimes nervous. Sometimes I feel them in tingles in my hands. Have you noticed any other ways that people could feel or experience angels, maybe in their minds, but also physical? What physical signs could people see or experience to know that their angels are here and they love them?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Oh, signs are everywhere. Like physical signs, like no matter where you're at, like they will constantly try to communicate with you, however they can. But like I said, it's like subtle whispers. It's like the tingles in your hands. Oftentimes for me, everybody's different. I want to say that too. Every soul has their own unique gifts and particularities for a reason, that are meant to help others along their way, or themselves even, along their journey for a specific reason, right? And so the way that you communicate or the way that you receive or feel them around you is going to be different. Um, I personally feel them, like more so around me. It kind of feels like I've got a physical person standing next to me, but I don't. It's almost like that. Sometimes it's soft, like I'll feel like a tingling, like in my head or like on the forehead. The third eye is such a big one for so many people. Just like tingles that you'll feel like on the side of your head or your middle of your forehead, atop your head, just around you. But oftentimes for me, yeah, anymore, like I'll feel those tingles or it's kind of like, almost like a lightness, about you. I don't know how else to almost like that sheer curtain almost like that you can kind of feel around you, kind of like that. Like that's, I guess, the essence or like the flow that I feel around me whenever they step in. Um, it's not like a suffocating feeling. It's just like lightly there. But yeah, and people talk about them all the time, angel signs, their loved ones and angels on the other side, whenever they need something and it comes up on, through numbers or license plates or, they're thinking something and, next thing you know, it's in front of them. So, they're really constantly, like I said, building that confidence in you and trying to establish that relationship. So, yeah.
Thank you, Tayla. And it sounds like really just building awareness that they're always communicating and recognizing it. Because when my hands like first started tingling, I never knew like that was a thing, that was my angels until someone told me your angels might communicate with you like that. I said, oh, so I know some other signs is ringing of the ears. Is that an angel sign? Ringing of the ears, goosebumps. Is any of that related?
Yeah, yeah. So, anytime I feel like it's like a big yes on the other side, um, yeah, the goosebumps every time. And so and the thing is that whenever it comes to communicating with your angels and your loved ones and stuff, you're really building your own distinct dictionary with them through your signs and symbols and things like that. And so it takes time to understand what those are. Sometimes I experience, I think, especially as you're starting to get attuned to, I want to say the word frequency just to help people understand, but it's different than that a little bit. But like I guess um I've noticed in this work people that are stepping into more of that awareness of their angels and really reaching out and making space for them. Sometimes they will hear or feel that tingly or like that ringing in their ear. Um and I think that that can, yeah, definitely be a sign. But like I said, everybody's is so different and for a reason. But yeah, very different. I think with you with your tingly hands and stuff too, I always see like it's like whenever you're ready to receive almost, like having those hands up and then them like just putting their hands in yours. And so I think that that's just like a like hi, we're here, we're here with you. So yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Tayla, oh my gosh. I know this is going to transform so many people's lives. And it almost sounds like connecting
So
with your angel. Girl, like genuinely, wow, this is just so powerful right now. And I'm so grateful for you. One, it sounds like speaking with your angels. I love how you phrase that. It's your own dictionary. You're learning to understand the meanings. And what comes to mind is like a phone. Like the first time you type in someone's phone number, you're not going to know it right away. But over time, that phone number becomes more familiar. And at the same time, the different messages or signs, whether that's tingling on your third eye, in your head, feeling the goosebumps on your body, it means different things for different people. And thinking of those individual signs almost like different text tones, like different meanings. It sounds like they all have different purposes, but that's really unique for every individual. So even with that, I encourage everyone who's listening is use your discernment, and instead of always looking towards chat GBT and there's nothing wrong with chat GBT, but use your discernment and really maybe even start journaling about it. Like when goosebumps happen, what were you thinking? What were you feeling? Or when you have the tingle in your third eye, what was happening? And just build, because eventually our brains work, they like to connect patterns. We're natural pattern connectors. So eventually over time, you're going to discover the answer. Ask and you shall receive. But even okay, and I might be backtracking on what I just said
No,
here,
go
but
ahead.
do um, thanks,
You're
Tayla.
fine.
Do
Yeah.
whole numbers have specific universal meanings? Because I typically associate 111 with your thoughts are manifesting, be very intentional, 222 with alignment, balance. Do the angel numbers have universal meanings? And if they do, could you tune in and share possibly what that means or what they mean?
Yeah. So the angels use angel numbers because of the way that we have created a universal meaning around them. Okay. So when you talk about that right now, they're like, it's not something that they've, created and planted, here. It's just something that we, I think, accept and put a lot of energy and insight to and look to for those. Oftentimes if you were to like see an angel number and you're like learning them, right? And you just don't know what it means. So you type it into Google, right? So to say. Um, whatever, it says on there. Cause I think on Google, it'll give you like multiple different things, right? For different layers of your life. Um, obviously not all of that is meant for you. So what's a big proponent in that is, and the angels talk about this too. And I wanted to say this earlier when you were talking about that, about giving the direction and everything too on how to go about that. Um, really asking yourself those questions. The angels are really big on recognizing that everything and we talked about this before, everything that's external to you is only there meant to amplify what already lives within you. And so whenever you are looking for answers, it would behoove you to look inwardly before you went externally. And that's where they say, like, when it comes to like AI, it's so like we want the quickest thing, right? And we want to, just get online and ask it, right? And it is helpful, but whenever you have the space to do it, when you are sitting at home and it's late at night and you have this question or whatever, instead of looking it up online through, chat GPT or what have you, or this thing happened, definitely seek it inwardly first because it's already there and they've already got the answer for you. So like I said, it's just that trust and all of that as well. But angel numbers specifically, you can, like I said, create your own dictionary with them on the other side. And so, like you saying 111 means this for me, then they take that and they're like, okay, anytime that like we need her to know this, we're sending her 111. And so, it truly is your own dictionary. So, like, I encourage people to, and this is something my spiritual teacher encouraged to me in this space, introducing that dictionary of sorts. It can be one that you physically write down at the beginning because they send not just words, but symbols. And these symbols mean something to you, but yes. And so that will like signify certain things to you. But as like if you were to step into a space much like mine and you're helping other people with like bringing through messages for them, um, a symbol that might come through for me might be very literal to me, but if I were to give them that symbol, it would elicit something different within them because they have a different experience, right? And that just goes back to the whole dictionary thing. It's truly individual because your experience here is so different, and no soul has lived a similar journey as any other soul that came before it or that will come after it. Like they're all very individualistic for a reason. And so your dictionaries are just going to be vastly different, but kind of similar. It depends, I guess.
So Taylor, okay, I love this idea of the spiritual dictionary. I hope whoever you are listening to this, please, after this episode, write down, create your own spiritual dictionary, write out the angel numbers, write out the symbols in your life, write out what they mean to you, because it sounds like this dictionary is almost a bridge of connection in building that relationship with your angels, with your guides, with your beings of light and love that are here to support you. And it almost sounds like have you seen the movie Project Hail Mary by chance?
Mm-mm.
It's okay.
No,
The
it's that,
part
but I know the name. I just have
No,
never
I
watched
just have
it.
never Oh, it's a really cute movie. There's the only reason I bring it up because there's one scene where there's this cute little alien rock being learning to communicate with Ryan Gosling in the movie. And they
Mhm.
created their own system of communication. It almost sounds like it's the same thing here. You're learning to communicate with them. And it's not something that happens overnight. It's the same thing with learning a new language. If you want to learn Spanish or Portuguese, you're not going to learn it in one day. It's going to take time and patience and
Right.
practice.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. As with all things. And that's the thing. It's like you just have to create the space for it, which that always seems to be the hardest hurdle for people to work through and, really mean it. So it has to
Ooh,
it's intentional, intention.
Taylor, okay, let's ask this right now, girl. What is the difference between intention and expectation? And
Mm.
just dive in.
Yeah. So I say this to my clients all the time that angels are really obviously the ones who brought this lesson through to me as well as a mom. To a 2-year-old little boy, I oftentimes like expectation we can define as this thing that almost what it does is it sets parameters around an experience, a person, a thing, whenever we place expectation, right? We're really defining distinctly what we are expecting to happen or shouldn't happen or whatever. And that can then welcome in and I think compound a lot of heavy negative energy when things don't go our way or things start unfolding differently. It almost can create a sense of stress or anxiety or doubt. It just allows, I think, so much more of that to bloom. And so oftentimes whenever we are building a relationship with someone or going and doing this new thing or stepping into this new space or even ones that we've been in before, just journeying through our life to do so with more intention than the expectation because intention, you're really setting it based off of a hopefully loving and positive thing, right? And it leaves so much more room for you as a soul to just to be and exist without feeling like you are having to meet these specific roles or things that society or the world around you has dictated for you that you've now, defined through this expectation. And so really stepping into, like I said, a space with intention or acting with intention over expectation is, I truly think, one of the best ways to navigate life. Anytime I'm stressed or irritated about something, or like, I don't know, like time is just always that construct for me that's like, and so like if I'm like running behind or something like that, I'll feel that stress. And it's because, and I recognize it, it's because I've placed this expectation that like this is supposed to go this way and it's actually unfolding a different way for one purpose or another. That's another moment where we can come in and we can say, okay, take a deep breath, and just like let it go because there's a purpose in this moment and why it's unfolding this way. And I think by placing expectation on something, it's almost like we believe that we're in control of every variable when we're not. And I think moving with intention And that intention is truly just setting, like saying, like, I'm going into this intending to have a good time. I'm intending to make connections, it allows everyone in that space and everything to be as it is without trying to change it. And it allows for that authenticity to just bloom naturally. And yeah, that's my biggest thing for for everybody. Move
Yes,
with intention, not expectation, for sure. Yeah.
that on a t-shirt, tattoo that on your forehead, because I can just feel
Yes.
like I can feel the freedom in the voice. Like, and it's just Taylor, we met when we had our session, when we spoke a couple of days ago, you were sharing how defining constricts, and it's almost like expectation. It's putting yourself in a cage of what you can be, what you can experience. But intention is just setting the direction of your ship. Where might you sail? Somewhere hopefully full of love and light, but it sounds like it can set someone free. So if someone is and coming back to what you just shared, thank you so much. You break down everything so beautifully. And something you shared when you're maybe feeling a little bit stressed out, or it's like that crunch, the time crunch, is feeling stress and anxiety a signal to us that we are out of alignment with our higher self, or maybe our where we're meant to be?
Yeah. I think oftentimes, whenever we feel that, I lean more towards yes, because stress and anxiety, like those do not live and are not who we are at our soul like level, from what I've experienced with like working with the angels. And so like whenever I feel an abundance of stress or anxiety, that's a signal to me as a healer from like if I feel it from anyone that like they need some assistance to really help live in that space of of peace and ease and really help bring them back to center. And oftentimes, like I said, anytimes I feel like that stress or anxiety, it's a signal to me to like talk about this because we need some like pivot, we just need to refine that perspective a little bit, or really fine tune the way that we're moving here. And sometimes it doesn't mean you're off your path. It doesn't mean that like you're totally lost or anything like that at all. Oftentimes the angels, what they'll do is um they will apply a certain amount of pressure that might elicit that stress signal in order to help you bring awareness to shift something, whatever that is in that moment. And so from my relationship with them, a lot of times, in my experience, and if we're going to talk about this like on a global scale, kind of like what we did last time, in your session, they truly help me understand that the heavy things that we go through, the coalescing of like all of the heavy stuff as a world, there is a dimension to that we're experiencing here. Has a purpose because we need a distinct amount of pressure in order for us to understand or pivot towards the way that we're meant to for a lighter path or a lighter journey, or whatever that is. And so it's strange in the way that they work, but there's a purpose behind it all, and so yeah, absolutely. So my answer to that, short and simple, would be yes, I believe in that. But I don't think it necessarily means that you're lost or off your path or anything like that, because it's gonna happen no matter what, even if you're on that journey, but it just, I think, it's a signal to take a deep breath, take that step back on like a mental broader spectrum, and be able to feel the totality of the situation and not drown in that feeling, in that heightening of the anxiety and everything like that. And so that's a practice in and of itself too. But it's a beautiful tool to use and capability that every individual has. Like I said, it's just a practice. So yeah.
It's a practice. And please, I encourage you, everyone who's listening, go rewatch this episode. You're going to pick up gems. Tayla's already shared so many different ways you can find your center through breath work, through getting still, through meditation. And just coming back to this idea of maybe that stress, anxiety, maybe it's not a bad thing. Maybe it's a little bit of a course corrector. I think this is a little bit of like an aggressive approach here, but on kind of missiles, I was reading this book. It was talking about when you're looking for achieving your goals in life, you operate very much the same way a missile does, in the same way where if you're in going a direction that's maybe not super aligned with where you want to end up or where it's aligned for your soul, you're going to correct. You're going to go this way, go that way. And it almost sounds like that pressure is pointing you in the direction that's most aligned for you. Like, again, I want to come back to the great divide, because I think this is really an important conversation. It sounds like when the pressure in our life is happening, when the pressure in our world is happening, what we're seeing maybe with our friends, with our family, in job, in finances, on the news, everything, anything you can imagine where there's pressure, it's almost like it is being alchemized, it's being transmuted in the very much the same way rice is cooked in the rice cooker. If you want cooked rice, you can't just not apply that hot water, that heat, that steam to the rice, right? Nothing's going to change. Sometimes we need to have that pressure to alchemize into where we're meant to be. So I I want to give you this platform, role. What is going on right now in our world regarding what you have brought up a couple days ago, this idea of the great divide and the pressure that's happening in the world?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, because I remember sharing with you in my session
What the
at the beginning of my journey, before I even stepped into my gifts, I had a visitation dream with my higher self, and I want to talk about that a little bit, like our higher selves, like our consciousness in and of it whole. Just to define that really quick, is we are part of our consciousness is here living this life, but what we would dictate, or like in human terms, our higher self, or the omnipresence in a way, is on the other side as well. Um, Gathering the information that we are receiving, or getting right through our experience, but also helping guide us along the way too. And so anyway, she came to me in a dream, and I had a visitation with her. And I remember like her walking me around this house that I saw in the visitation. And I felt and I knew that in this dream that what was on the side of the house was like this map of sorts. And it almost like it felt like a war map in a way. Like I saw like land and like all like certain things like placed in different areas. And it almost like the puzzle piece, or like a life journey, right? On this map. And but it was for the world. And I asked her, I said, can I see that, like that map, and she said, no, it's not meant for you to know. Like you can't, like you can't know all this, kind of thing. But she says, but we have to start preparing you for the great divide, is what she said to me. And, I remember taking that in the moment. It felt like this powerful thing, but I didn't know what she was talking about because, like I said, I hadn't stepped into my gifts yet. It was just a dream that I had. And so, but I knew it was something. And I remember spending time trying to Google like what the Great Divide is. She said in 4 years' time, we have to be prepared for that. Like it's 4 years from now. And this was when the previous president was like in office, and like she made me feel like without getting into politics here because, whatever, but she made me feel like President Trump was going to be coming back into office. And I remember talking to my husband about this, and I'm like, she's bringing up the Great Divide, and she's saying President Trump's coming back into office, and like all of these things. And my husband's like, there's no way, like, whatever. And but here we are, people. Okay, so let's just say that. And so with that, I think that whenever I connect with the angels and stuff on that, they show me this vision of women and minorities and just so many people that have been wronged holding hands in front of the White House. And that was the vision, and and it felt like this transformative moment. And when I connect with the angels on it today, as we're venturing through this, all the heavy stuff going on in the world coming up, and, it they talk about that in order for us to the great divide really stands as us stepping into what they would call the new world. Okay. And it's almost like moving like the dimension that we're on now to a higher dimension level where we can like just live lighter, where we can appreciate and love deeper and just grow so much more in a space without so much heavy fear or doubt, so much more trust and connection. And so that's where they're taking us with everything. But in order for us to shift the world as a collective, we're going to experience and are experiencing right now all of those heavier pressures that are demanding us to transmute that energy into one that is of more love, that we do have more kindness for people, where we can trust endlessly and, you know, all of that and really live in a world like that. So all that to say, they show me, like I said, that in order to make that transition, in order to transmute that energy, we have to feel it as a collective in order to wake up enough people to shift the energy and the way that we're navigating. So it's a big, big, big shift that's happening, that will happen. But there's so much hope behind it. And there's just so much there that we can look at that's beautiful and that's coming of it, and it's sprouting all around us. Those seeds that we talked about are coming up and into fruition, and that's what people are feeling. That's why you have so many more creative things coming up, and people talking about purpose, and more people, like I said, waking up to like that soul connection. And that is really the life that we're meant to be living into, not so much from that egoic logical mind. I mean, there's purpose in that, but we have to get back to balance. And it feels like right now there's a lot of the heavy, and we just got to get it back to that balance. And so that's where we're shifting to. So,
Wow. Because Taylor, thank you so much. That was so beautifully broken down and just said. So thank you. You are so beautiful with your words, just stringing them together like pearls, girl. And
oh,
something
thanks.
truly, I mean it, girl. It's just the way you speak. It carries so much energy and so much hope. And I love your Instagram and Facebook bio. It says, here there is hope. Hope lives here. And I think that's something that I really want people to take away from this. There's so much hope and there's so much opportunity. And even if what's going on around them doesn't feel super hopeful, doesn't feel super loving, super light, it is the process of transforming. It's that transformation process. And it's not always pretty. When you're at the gym, when you're lifting those weights, your muscles are going to burn. You're going to be sore, but not the end result, but the journey of getting into maybe however you feel the most energized, you might be a little sore, you might hurt a little bit, but it's worth it because it makes you feel so good. And even now more than ever in our society, it is cool that we're waking up, because more than ever, people are talking about spirituality, people are talking about astrology, people are talking about angels, reiki, psychic gifts, everything more than ever. And I want people to recognize that 20 years ago, if someone was an astrologer or a psychic, it wasn't as welcomed. It's one of those things that maybe you wouldn't tell people, but nowadays you can tell people that it's more safe, it's more loving. So even just take that awareness and see how far we have already come as a society, how far we're already venturing into being more open, stepping into this light, stepping into this love and this new world. And Tayla, I want to bring it back, girl. And we're entering this new world. And how can someone whoever's listening to this right now, how can they prepare and become available for this new world, this new frequency?
I think it all, and this is what the angels say all the time, it begins with you. And it all lives within you. It begins with you. And so if you are to prepare for anything, it is really working through those constructs that have been placed upon you that do not serve you. It's removing the layers that you have identified with, those layers being the experiences that you've gone through that you're now identifying with that are not you. And letting those go in a way that you can shine and live authentically in the, like I said, in the space that you were meant to. Um, because that new world is one where we can live authentically, because in doing so, you are fulfilling your purpose so much, your purposes so much more, um, and just so much more deeper than you would if you just, let a little piece of your light shine for that one person, that one time, because that, in that moment you felt vulnerable enough to do it. Um, so that's the best way that I could say to prepare for that, is to, on your journey, because in doing so, the angels are saying this now, in doing so, you are then transmuting the energy and the behaviors and the perspectives of those coming up behind you. And they're the ones that are really going to be shaping and living within that new world. And so, and I say that as a 31-year-old because that's what they're saying. Like, we are part of that, those souls that are coming through with the machetes to like cut the path, right? And it's the ones behind us that are coming forward that we're helping. So whenever you choose to live authentically and break through those constructs that are not meant for you, they're not meant for the generations coming up behind you. Even if you don't have kids, the people and the young ones that you are around, in your day-to-day life, you living authentically will help shape even the adults around you to do the same. And so that's where I would begin, with yourself, 100%. Yeah.
Tayla, thank you, girl. And something that just shines so really in who you are, what you say is just light and love. And something that you said when we were having our session was, instead of fighting this dimension, we're here to heal it. We're here to love it. And we're here to save it. And
Yeah.
especially if you're listening to this episode right now, you are a part of this process. Everyone is a part of this process. But would you say that, okay, well, actually, I want to talk about a little bit more of that authenticity piece, because something I know, trust it, let's putting this all together, following the angel's guidance and actually living this out in your life. What does this look like? I know you mentioned when we were together, when you're in a room full of people who are different, who believe this, who believe that, who think this, who think that. That is a time, and this is you shared this with me. This is you, girl. That is a time more than ever to speak your truth, to listen to what the angels are prompting you to say, to plant those seeds in the people around you, so that one day, even if those seeds are recognized for the light they are now, one day they'll grow. So I guess, how can someone embrace that authenticity? And how can someone have the faith to take those leaps of faith and really step into what they feel they're being called to? Because I feel like, I don't know if you feel this too, but I notice a lot of people right now are turning towards spirituality because of the pressure that's going on in the world. They're turning towards someone who has answers, and they're realizing there's not one person, one search engine on their phones that has the answer. So they're having to turn within. So I suppose, if you had to give advice to that soul, to that person, what questions would you maybe give to them to start asking themselves, start meditating on, and getting still with?
That's hard, because every soul is on such a different journey. And that's why in the work that I do, I make it very explicitly clear that, like, what modalities, go into each healing session, but that every one is different, uniquely so, because your journey is different. What one question somebody might, ask to begin that process lies within them. And it's not one that, like, everybody should ask themselves, because not everybody is on that same journey. And so when it comes to reconnecting with yourself, I don't think there's a specific question, but I think we can outline it by, like, choosing where you want to begin. Like, if it's a certain behavior or trait, or, like, you feel like that you're fearful, to be yourself. Why am I fearful? Like, where is that at? And just asking why or what or how do I do that? Or, those questions within yourself, um, amongst your angels and, all of that, you'll feel that guidance. And even if it's not in that moment, the angels are really great about unfolding it over time. So like you can ask that question in that moment, even if you might not receive an answer, within your mind at that time, or feel it within your heart, or receive, something, a physical sign, right then and there. Um, Allowing your heart and your soul to just, and your eyes just to be open to your experiences through the rest of that week, through the rest of, the next 2 weeks, even that month, and it'll unfold as it's meant to. It's like as soon as you ask that question, then the angels are like, okay, they're ready, So it really, like I said, the gift of free will is so beautiful, but it also is one that I think a lot of us are fearful to I don't know, to unlock in a way, but, like, it's like we just don't use it enough, when we ask, like, those questions and things like that, like, but we have the capability to, we have the support on the other side, so, I don't think it's a specific question on, like, how to unfold that authenticity, it's really, but that's why I do what I do, I really help individuals be able to shed those layers and, um let go of those things that are keeping them from shining in the way that they're meant to. And because it is such a practice, and I sometimes we do need that support, if in that space to say, it's okay, we can do this together, and you don't have to have all the answers right now. But I know a lot of times in my mind, like if I don't have an answer to something, I'm really big on closure. I love closure. And if I don't get that, then like my mind is like, well, what if this and that and that, all the things. And so I need somebody sometimes to help ground me in that space to say, it's okay. We don't have to, have closure with this. You're going to be okay. Whatever, helps me. So, that's why I love what I do and why I'm here. Um, but yeah, you can definitely get there yourself. It's just, like I said, it goes back to spending that time and that trust and asking, whichever way you want to go. Cause what they show me is it's almost like different paths and like asking how leads you one way and asking like why or what will lead you a different way. And so it's just where you want to begin on that journey lies within you, but I would frame the questions, that way as well. Like I would almost like, I guess if I'm putting myself in their shoes, be like, okay, what is looking at my own self, like what's keeping me from living authentically. And then the angels will show you that. And then you can ask why if you want to go deeper or ask how do I let this go? And they'll lead you to that. Whether it's in your mind, like I said, or the signs around you, or they'll put certain people on your path, certain souls that are meant to help you with that part. And so that I think that is the best way to do it without giving you specific directions. That's as specific, I think, as they'll let me get with that. So,
Kayla, that was so beautiful, girl. And it just sounds like, thank you for that. It makes so much sense when you say it like that. It sounds like, so whatever you're going through, whoever's listening to this, no matter what obstacle you feel like you're in the middle of or you're facing, know that when you ask, you will receive guidance. And that's going to look based on who you are and what situation you're in, but you will receive guidance. Your angels want to give that to you. And Taylor, I feel like, girl, I could talk. We could go on for hours about this, but Carmen, I want to invite you before we close out. Would you like to lead us in a short guided meditation, visual intention, whatever you feel lying to, whatever you feel called to share? I invite you if you'd
yeah.
like. You can. Yeah.
Mm. Well, I was giving this some thought because I think that I really just want to or I guess end things with, but like help leave you, any listeners, um, on their path with allowing yourself as you move forward. Because I think right now, like I said, there's a lot of fear and doubt around that that the angels, they're constantly, and this is just something that we've talked about before, where they constantly want to or they are bringing through so many ideas or creative things or nudges right to you on your path. So just allowing yourself today as you move forward, one, to give yourself grace. You are a soul having a human experience here. Okay. So you're not going to know every single thing that's meant to happen for you on your journey. So as you move forward, one, giving yourself grace for that, but also allowing yourself to explore at least one thing that calls to you, whether it's an opportunity that's come up to you, whether you have this idea that pops in randomly, or you want to speak that truth in a room full of people that it might not align with, but you're feeling called to. Do it. Allow yourself to explore it, even if it's not to the fullest extent in that moment. By exploring that, you're really learning more about you. That's how you really help yourself to unfold authentically as well. But you're also feeding that inner child, that lives within you. What the and whenever and I mentioned this to you before, Elsa, but the angels, they show me that river, right? And that they always bring me back to that in that moment whenever we don't choose to explore an opportunity or we don't choose to speak our truth or live authentically. It does get exhausting. It gets tiring. And so the best way they show this visually is a river flowing, naturally one way. And then they say, if you were to stand in that river, stand completely still within that river and fight against the current of that river, the natural flow, you would eventually just get exhausted. You would get tired. You would be drained. And so a big message is that to just flow with the way that they push you. Allow yourself a moment, and it can just be one moment a week or today, where you say yes instead of no, and you just act without anything other than that loving, positive intention. And just trying to explore and see where that goes. Just allow yourself to shine in that way. That's the biggest guidance that I can provide in this moment, with everything that we've talked about. And hopefully that helps encapsulate everything as well. But you guys you're uniquely you, 1,000% you. And there's a purpose behind it. And don't lose sight of it. It's one of those things that, like I said, I feel like a constant battle in today's world, but your unique particularities and where you are in this life is for purpose. So keep shining, keep being amazing. And and create space for you. So yeah.
Tayla, you are such a gift to this world. And I, again, just thank you so much for coming on today. I hope everyone, if you are looking for the next step in your spiritual journey, if you're looking to connect with what is your purpose, what's the next step, if you want to bridge that connection with your angels, and you feel called, I highly, highly suggest you go check out Tayla. Go book a session. I'm going to link everything in the show notes here for you. And adding on to that, Tayla, where can people find you? How can they connect with you?
Yeah. So I am horrible with social media, so please bear with me with that. But I've got my website up. It's soulbloomcare.com. Facebook, it's just Soul Bloom. And then Instagram, it's soul.bloom.care. And I'm trying to get my Instagram up. So like I said, please bear with me. But I will say, before I got my physical location here in Springfield, Illinois, which I, can treat and connect with you guys in person here. I work virtually with souls all over the nation, from New York to California, to help them just heal and navigate life's major transitions that we just need that compassionate support on a soul level. So yeah, that's how you get to find me for now, and hopefully other ways will sprout up in the future. But
Oh, Taylor, girl, I know they will. And I can speak from experience. This honestly goes, this doesn't even need to be said, but Taylor's the real deal. Taylor has a connect. And I mean this, or experiencing someone. And genuinely, I feel that it's shifted the trajectory of my life, my trust with my angels, my heart cracked open. So if you're looking for that next step, if you don't know your next step, I think you just found it. So, Taylor, with that being said, girl, my heart is, I feel so much love for you. I'm so grateful for you. And
thank
ah,
you.
yeah. And is there
I've
any
got so much love too. It feels so good.
It does, girl. You
It
are so amazing.
does.
Oh, and it's just, you know what? Love is the answer. It really is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Absolutely. Well, Taylor, before we sign up, is there any last sign out for any last message you'd like to share with our audience today?
No, but I've got so much love for each and every one of you. Even if we haven't met yet, there's just, like I said, an abundance of love pouring out to each and every one of you guys. I've got so much faith in you all, and I'm always here. My door is always open for anyone that even just wants to connect and chat in this space. As you know, Elsa, I feel like I could talk about it forever. So this is me. This is my life. So like I said, it's all out there for you guys to connect with it if you want, if you need, because I think it's very important, especially as we look to care for the soul, to have that community, to have that connection, and that space where you feel safe enough to explore that and really strip away, like I said, those human constructs and variables that are not your soul. Like your soul is just so much bigger than that. And so I hope you find that here, but that you have that in your life. And like I said, sending you guys so much love. Take care of yourselves always.
Thank you, Taylor. And thank you for everyone listening today. What a beautiful episode. What a beautiful transmission. Thank you, Taylor. Thank you to our angels. Thank you, everyone, for being here. And we will see you next week. All right.
Yeah. Thank you, Elsa.
You're welcome, Taylor. Bye-bye.
Bye.